The smoke detector screamed, but I couldn't move. My bedroom door wouldn't budge. I twisted the handle again, harder this time, my heart hammering against my ribs. Nothing. The acrid smell of burning wood crept under the door, and I knew someone had locked me in. I pressed my ear against the wood. No footsteps, no voices. Just the hungry crackle of fire spreading somewhere in my house. My lakeside house in Minnesota, the one my late husband Robert built 40 years ago. The house my son Marcus grew up in. The house he now wanted me dead in. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Linda Morrison. I'm 68 years old, a retired school teacher who spent 35 years shaping young minds in Minneapolis public schools. I never imagined those same skills staying calm under pressure, observing details. Reading people would one day save my life from my own child. It started 3 months ago. Marcus showed up at my door on a Tuesday afternoon, which was unusual. He lived 2 hours away in St. Paul with his wife Cassandra, and rarely visited unless it was a holiday. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled shirt, that desperate energy of someone who hasn't slept well in weeks. "Mom, can we talk?" he asked, not meeting my eyes. I made us tea, chamomile, his favorite, when he was little. He sat at my kitchen table, the same one where I'd helped him with homework, where we'd celebrated his college acceptance, where I'd consoled him after his father's funeral. But this Marcus was different, harder, worn down by something I couldn't name yet. "I need money," he said finally. $200,000. I set down my teacup carefully. "Marcus, I know it's a lot, but I'm in trouble, Mom. Real trouble. There are people." He stopped, ran his hands through his thinning hair. "I made some bad business investments, tried to turn the company around. It didn't work. And now there are people expecting payment. Dangerous people. My son had always been a dreamer. Big ideas, bigger promises, but poor execution. His business, some kind of tech startup I never fully understood, had been struggling for years. But $200,000? That was nearly half of everything I had saved. "Marcus, I don't have that kind of money to give away. This house, my retirement savings, that's all I have. I'm sorry, but no." His face changed. The pleading look vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating I'd never seen before. But it was gone in a flash, and he nodded, stood up, hugged me. "I understand, Mom. I'll figure something out." He left, and I felt uneasy for reasons I couldn't explain. Teachers develop instincts about people. We learn to spot the student who's lying about homework, the one who's being bullied, the one who's planning something. My instincts were screaming now, but I ignored them. He was my son, my baby boy. What could he possibly do? 2 weeks later, Cassandra called. Marcus's wife and I had never been close. She was 15 years younger than him, beautiful in that carefully maintained way, and had always looked at me like I was an obstacle rather than family. "Linda, we need to talk about Marcus's situation," she said, her voice honey-sweet and poison-sharp at once. "You're being incredibly selfish. He's your son. Family helps family." "Cassandra, I don't have $200,000 to lend out. That money is for my old age, for medical expenses, for— You're sitting in a house worth $400,000. You could take out a home equity loan. You could sell. You're alone here anyway, Linda. Wouldn't you be happier in a nice assisted living facility? You're 68. How much longer do you really need all this space?" The conversation went downhill from there. She hung up on me, and I sat in my kitchen, shaking with anger and something else. Fear, maybe. Because Cassandra had a point I didn't want to acknowledge. I was getting older. The winters were getting harder. I'd been thinking about selling, maybe moving to one of those senior communities closer to town, but not because my daughter-in-law pressured me, not because my son needed to pay off lawn sharks. I called my grandson Jake. He was Marcus's nephew, my daughter Sarah's son, studying law at the University of Minnesota. Jake had always been different from Marcus, thoughtful, principled, the kind of young man who actually listened. "Grandma, stay away from Uncle Marcus right now," Jake told me, after I explained everything. "I've heard things. He's in deeper trouble than you know. And Aunt Cassandra." He paused. "Just be careful, okay? Keep your doors locked. Don't let them have keys to your house. Jake, he's my son." "I know, Grandma, but sometimes family hurts us the worst." I should have listened more carefully. 1 month ago, Marcus came back. It was a Saturday, early December, snow already piling up around the lake. He seemed calmer, apologetic, said he'd found another way to handle his debts, that he was sorry for pressuring me, that he just wanted to spend time with his mom. We had a nice afternoon. He helped me bring in firewood, fixed the loose railing on my deck, even made dinner his father's famous chili recipe. We drank wine, talked about old times. He seemed like my son again. That night, I slept deeply. Too deeply. When I woke up the next morning, my head felt stuffed with cotton, my mouth dry. The tea he'd made me before bed, the chamomile. I stumbled to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and felt something wrong but couldn't place what. It wasn't until 2 days later that I noticed. My spare house key was missing from the hook by the back door, and there were tiny scratches on my bedroom door frame, fresh ones, right where someone might install a sliding bolt lock. I called a locksmith immediately. Had all my locks changed. The locksmith, a kind older man named Dave, looked at my door frame and frowned. "Ma'am, someone's been messing with this. See these marks? That's from installing hardware, then removing it. You sure you don't want to call the police?" "It's probably nothing," I lied. But I called Jake that night, told him everything. He came over the next day with a security camera, the kind that connects to your phone, and installed it above my front door. "Grandma, I'm serious. If Uncle Marcus or Aunt Cassandra show up, don't let them in, and call me immediately." "You're overreacting," I said, but I didn't believe it. "Am I? They tried to borrow money you don't have. They stole your key. They tampered with your door. What's next?" I didn't want to think about what was next. 3 weeks passed. Christmas came and went. I spent it with Sarah and Jake, avoiding Marcus's calls. He left voicemails, cheerful at first, then confused, then angry. Cassandra sent text messages, short, clipped, threatening in their brevity. "You're making a mistake, Linda. Family remembers who turned their back. You'll regret this." I blocked their numbers. Started sleeping with my phone on the nightstand. Jake's number on speed dial. The security camera caught nothing except mail carriers and neighbors walking their dogs. I started to relax. Maybe they'd given up. Maybe Marcus had found another way out of his mess. I was wrong. Last Tuesday night, January 15th, I made myself dinner. Leftover soup, a salad, a glass of wine. I watched the news, read for a while, took my evening medications. Around 9 p.m., I made tea. Chamomile, ironically. I'd been drinking it for 40 years. It wasn't going to poison itself. Except this time, it did. I woke up 3 hours later, disoriented and fuzzy. My bedroom was dark, except for a thin line of orange light under my door. Orange light that flickered. Firelight. The smoke detector shrieked to life, and I jolted fully awake. I smelled it, then smoke, thick and chemical. I threw off my blankets, ran to the door, grabbed the handle. Locked. The door was locked from the outside. I twisted it again, harder, panic rising in my throat. The handle turned, but the door wouldn't open. Something was holding it shut. My fingers found the edge of the door, felt the cold metal of a sliding bolt on the other side. Someone had installed a lock while I slept. Someone had trapped me in here. Someone had started a fire, and I knew exactly who. I ran to my window, yanked open the curtains. Snow piled against the glass, the lake frozen white beyond my yard. My neighbors' houses were dark, everyone asleep at midnight. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. No signal. The screen showed one bar, then nothing. The power had been cut. Smoke started seeping under the door, gray tendrils reaching across my hardwood floor like fingers. I coughed, pressed my nightgown over my mouth and nose. Think, Linda. Think like a teacher handling a crisis. What are your resources? What are your options? The window. It was old, painted shut multiple times over the years, but it was my only exit. I grabbed the reading lamp from my nightstand, heavy brass, a gift from Robert. I yanked the cord from the wall and swung it at the window. The glass shattered, and cold January air rushed in, mixing with the smoke. I used the lamp to clear the jagged edges, wrapped my hands in my blanket, and hoisted myself up onto the sill. The drop was about 8 feet to the snow below. Not terrible, but not great. For a 68-year-old woman with arthritis, I jumped. The landing knocked the wind out of me. Snow soaked through my nightgown immediately, burning cold against my skin. I scrambled to my feet, looked back at my house. Flames licked out of the living room windows. Smoke poured from the eaves. And there, parked on the street, 2 houses down, was Marcus's black sedan. The one I'd seen 1,000 times. The one with the dent in the rear bumper from when he hit a shopping cart last summer. They were watching. They wanted to make sure I didn't get out. I ran toward my neighbor's house, Mrs. Chen, an elderly widow who'd lived next door for 20 years. I pounded on her door, leaving bloody handprints. My hands were cut from the window glass, I realized distantly. The cold was making everything numb. Mrs. Chen opened her door, took one look at me, and pulled me inside. Linda! Oh my God, your house! Call Chinchamuimot. I gasped. Fire. Someone locked me in. Call the police too. She grabbed her phone while I collapsed onto her couch, shaking so hard my teeth chattered. Through her window, I watched my house burn. 40 years of memories turning to ash. But I was alive. I'd gotten out. The fire trucks arrived within 10 minutes. Sirens wailing through the quiet neighborhood. Police cars followed. Mrs. Chen wrapped me in blankets, her own hands trembling as she tried to clean the cuts on my palms. Who would do this? She kept asking. Who would lock you in? My son, I whispered. Her face went pale. The EMTs wanted to take me to the hospital. A young woman named Sarah Different. Sarah, then my daughter, checked my vital signs, shined a light in my eyes, listened to my lungs. Ma'am, you need to be checked for smoke inhalation. You could have carbon monoxide poisoning. And these cuts need stitches. Not until I talk to the police, I said. My voice came out stronger than I felt. Someone tried to kill me. I need to tell them before anything else happens. A detective arrived while the firefighters battled the blaze. Detective Martinez, mid-40s, sharp eyes that missed nothing. She sat across from me in Mrs. Chen's living room and pulled out a notebook. Mrs. Morrison, I know you've been through trauma, but I need you to tell me everything. Can you do that? I could, and I did. I told her about Marcus's request for money, about Cassandra's pressure, about the stolen key and the scratches on my door frame, about the tea that made me sleep too deeply, about waking up locked in, about the bolt that shouldn't have been there, about Marcus's car parked down the street. Detective Martinez wrote everything down. When I finished, she looked up, her expression grim. Mrs. Morrison, one of my officers, just checked the street. There's no black sedan with a dented bumper. Are you certain you saw it? My heart sank. I saw it. It was there. The smoke, the trauma, the fear, it can make us see things, especially in the dark. Are you absolutely sure? I know my son's car. She nodded slowly. The fire inspector is going through your house now. If someone installed a lock on your door, he'll find evidence. If someone cut your power and tampered with your phone signal, we'll find that too. But Mrs. Morrison, these are serious accusations. If you're wrong, I'm not wrong. Then we'll prove it. The fire was out by 2 a.m. Most of my house was destroyed, the entire living room and kitchen. Most of the first floor. My bedroom was damaged but intact, the window I'd broken gaping like a missing tooth. The fire inspector, Captain Reynolds, approached Detective Martinez around 3 a.m. I watched them confer, saw him point at something on his tablet, saw her face harden. She came back to me. Mrs. Morrison, Captain Reynolds found a sliding bolt lock on your bedroom door. It was installed from the outside. Recently, there's fresh wood around the screws. He also found that your electrical panel was manually shut off and someone cut the line to your landline phone. This wasn't an accident. This was attempted murder. I closed my eyes. Hearing it confirmed didn't make me feel vindicated. It made me feel sick. Your son's car, Martinez continued. We've issued a Bolo B on the lookout. If he's in the area, we'll find him. But Mrs. Morrison, I need you to go to the hospital now. Let them check you out. Stitch up your hands. We'll post an officer outside your room. You'll be safe. I finally agreed. Mrs. Chen came with me, holding my uninjured hand in the ambulance. At the hospital, they treated my cuts 12 stitches total. They ran tests for smoke inhalation and carbon monoxide. Everything came back surprisingly normal. You're lucky, the ER doctor told me. Another 5 minutes in that room, and it would have been a different story. Lucky. I'd nearly been murdered by my own son, and they called it luck. Jake arrived at the hospital at dawn. He burst into my room, his face stricken, and hugged me so carefully, like I might break. Grandma, I'm so sorry. I should have done more. I should have. You installed that security camera, I said. Did it catch anything? His face changed. Everything, Grandma. It caught everything. The security camera footage was damning. Jake pulled it up on his laptop, and we watched together, me, Jake, Detective Martinez, and a prosecutor named Ellen Burke, who'd been called in because of the severity of the crime. The video showed Marcus and Cassandra arriving at my house at Bon Mui, by p.m. They used a key my stolen key to enter quietly. Marcus carried a small duffel bag. They were inside for 43 minutes. At Mui Mort, ba Mui p.m. they emerged. Cassandra was carrying the duffel, now empty. Marcus was holding a small gas can. They got in their car and drove away, but they didn't go far. The camera showed their car parked down the street, just out of frame, waiting. That's not all, Jake said quietly. He pulled up another file. I also checked Uncle Marcus's laptop. He left it at Mom's house for repairs last month. I'm a law student, so I know this might not be admissible, but his search history was a roadmap to murder, how to stage a house fire accident, undetectable sleeping drugs, home security systems bypass, life insurance payouts for elderly parents. My son had planned to kill me, and his wife had helped him. Detective Martinez made 2 phone calls. 30 minutes later, officers arrested Marcus and Cassandra at a motel 40 miles away. They were packing to leave town, suitcases open on the bed, their car already loaded with belongings. Cassandra broke first. Under interrogation, she confessed everything. She was the mastermind. She'd pushed Marcus, manipulated him, convinced him that my death was the only solution to their money problems. She said you were going to die soon anyway, Detective Martinez told me later, her voice disgusted. That your house would eventually be his, so why wait? Why let loan sharks hurt him when you were practically dead already? Her words, not mine. Marcus never admitted guilt. He sat in the interrogation room, silent, while his lawyer told him not to say anything. But his phone records told the story. 47 texts to Cassandra that night, coordinating their plan. Photos of my house layout. A voice memo where they discussed dosing my tea. The prosecutor filed charges: attempted murder in the first degree, arson in the first degree, conspiracy to commit murder, and elder abuse. The DA herself held a press conference, calling it one of the most disturbing cases of familial abuse she'd seen. The trial was 3 months later. I testified for 4 hours, walking the jury through everything: the money request, the stolen key, the scratches on my door, waking up locked in, Marcus's car on the street. Defense attorneys tried to shake my story, said I was confused, traumatized, mistaken, but the evidence didn't lie. The security footage, the search history, Cassandra's confession, the physical evidence from the house, the bolt, the cut phone line, the deliberately tripped electrical panel. Jake testified too, about my call warning him of Marcus's behavior, about installing the security camera, about finding the search history on Marcus's laptop. He looked at his uncle across the courtroom with such sadness, such disappointment. The jury deliberated for 2 days. When they came back, the verdict was unanimous on all counts: guilty. Marcus received 15 years in the Minnesota Correctional Facility at Stillwater. Cassandra got 12 years as an accomplice. Both would be eligible for parole after serving at least 2/3 of their sentences, but the judge made it clear she'd oppose early release. "You targeted a vulnerable elderly woman," Judge Henderson told them at sentencing. "You exploited your family relationship to gain access to her home. You drugged her, locked her in, and set her house on fire, fully intending for her to die. The fact that she survived is due to her own resourcefulness, not any mercy from you. You showed her none. This court will show you none." Marcus still wouldn't look at me. Cassandra cried, apologizing, saying she was sorry, but I felt nothing. My son, the boy I'd raised, who'd played in that house, who'd learned to ride a bike in that driveway, had tried to murder me for money he didn't even have yet. After the sentencing, Jake drove me back to Minnesota. I'd been staying with Sarah in Minneapolis during the trial, but I couldn't live there forever. I needed to face what came next. My house was a ruin. Insurance covered the damage, but I had to decide: rebuild or sell the lot and move on. I chose to rebuild. Not the same house. Something smaller, more manageable, but still mine. Still on that lake I'd loved for 40 years. The contractors worked through spring and summer. By September, it was finished. A compact 2-bedroom with updated safety features, smoke detectors in every room, a security system that rivaled Fort Knox, windows that opened easily for emergency escape. Jake helped me move in. Sarah came too, and her husband Tom, and my other grandchildren. We had a small party, just family. The good family, the chosen family. Mrs. Chen brought cookies. Other neighbors stopped by with housewarming gifts, casseroles, flowers. The community had rallied around me during the trial, starting a GoFundMe that raised over $30,000 for my recovery. I donated most of it to an elder abuse prevention nonprofit that Jake helped me find. Speaking of, Jake, he passed the bar exam that summer. His first case as a newly licensed attorney was representing an elderly man whose daughter had stolen his Social Security checks. Jake won, and then he won the next case, and the next. He called me last week. "Grandma, I'm starting a nonprofit. Elder Protection Legal Aid. Free legal services for seniors being abused or exploited by family members. And I want you on the board. Your story, it matters. It could help other people recognize the warning signs. Get help before it's too late." I said yes immediately, because he was right. My story mattered, not as a tragedy, but as a warning, as proof that you can survive when your family betrays you, that there are good people, neighbors, friends, chosen family, who will help you rebuild. I stand on my new deck now, looking out at the frozen lake. It's January again, almost exactly 1 year since that terrible night. The sun is setting, painting the snow pink and gold. Inside, My house is warm and safe. My phone is charged and working. My doors have 3 locks each. I sleep well now, finally. No more nightmares of smoke and locked doors. No more waking up gasping, reaching for windows that aren't there. Sometimes I think about Marcus. Wonder if he thinks about me in his cell at Stillwater. If he regrets what he did. If Cassandra's manipulation excuse holds up in his mind. Or if he knows, deep down, that he made the choice. He chose money over his mother. He chose murder over asking anyone else for help. I don't hate him. I've moved past that. But I don't forgive him either. What he did was unforgivable. And that's okay. I'm allowed to draw that boundary. Sarah asks sometimes if I'll ever visit him in prison. My answer is always the same. No. I gave Marcus life. I gave him love, education, support, a home. He tried to take my life in return. That debt can never be repaid. But I'm not bitter. I'm grateful. Grateful for Mrs. Chen's quick thinking. For the firefighters who saved what they could. For Detective Martinez's thoroughness. For the prosecutor who fought for justice. For Jake's wisdom and loyalty. For Sarah's steady presence. Most of all, I'm grateful for that brass reading lamp. The one I used to break my window. I kept it. It sits on my new nightstand now, dented and scratched, but functional. A reminder that sometimes the most ordinary objects can save your life, that you're stronger than you think, that you can break through barriers even when someone's trying to trap you. I teach a class now at the community center, Elder Safety and Awareness. We talk about warning signs of abuse, financial exploitation, isolation tactics, coercion. I tell my story, and others tell theirs. We're a community of survivors, helping others avoid our fates. Last week, a woman came up to me after class. She was 72, her hands shaking as she gripped mine. My daughter has been asking about my savings, she whispered, getting angry when I say no. Reading your story. I need help. I gave her Jake's card. Told her she wasn't alone. That asking for help wasn't betraying your family. That protecting yourself wasn't selfish. She called him the next day. He's helping her now, legally safeguarding her assets, documenting the harassment. She'll be okay. That's why I keep telling my story. Not for pity, not for revenge, but because silence protects abusers. Speaking up protects victims. The sun has set completely now. Stars are beginning to appear over the frozen lake. Inside, my phone buzzes. It's Jake, sending me a photo of his new office sign. Elder Protection, Legal Aid. We open next week, Grandma. First client meeting is Tuesday. You coming? I smile, text back. Wouldn't miss it. I go inside, lock my doors, and make myself tea. Not chamomile. Never chamomile again. I've switched to peppermint. It tastes like new beginnings. Tomorrow, I'll call Sarah. Maybe visit the grandchildren. Maybe work on the testimony I'm giving to the state legislature next month about elder abuse prevention laws. My life is full. Purposeful. Marcus took my house. He tried to take my life. But he couldn't take who I am. Couldn't break my spirit. Couldn't stop me from rebuilding. Stronger than before. I survived. And now I'm helping others survive too. That's not just recovery. That's revenge of the best kind, living well, loving deeply, fighting back by refusing to be destroyed. I am Linda Morrison. I am 68 years old. My son tried to kill me, but I'm still here. And I'm not going anywhere.